You're listening to the Hockey Hacks podcast. I am Mason Hackle. This is the podcast and the learnings that we look at the best athletes in the world in addition to the best hockey players in the world. Take that in, dissect what they're doing, and break that down into a standardized progression so that anybody can access what they're doing. And that's what we do here. We share the knowledge that these players present and the evidence that they use in their own movements just by looking at them, and we bring that into our own game so that anybody can access exactly what they're doing. And this week was very interesting. So I've been accused of lots of things in my life, including but not limited to being a liar, being a snake oil salesman, being, I don't know any of these things, but basically, like, this is all coming from people who just look at one video of mine and then, like, they, just go away. Like, they're not even followers. Like, I've looked at them, I've studied them up and down, like, even for like a brief second, which is like, would I be doing the same thing that they're doing? It's like, yeah, of course. But basically, people who are making these comments are not followers. They're not like engaged in it. They just see it inside the algorithm and then put a little post because they have miserable, sad lives just because they're not doing what I'm doing, which is actually putting in the work, teaching people these things to adapt it for themselves and like actually making a difference in people's lives, whether that's in training or in, general hockey ability or, which if you put people through training, like you're going to improve their lives and give them some direction as well, give them a solution to their problems, which is the hallmarks of making businesses and being an entrepreneur. And like some of these guys, not everyone's going to want it, and that is perfectly fine. And I think I'm slowly accepting that because I have enough of a following now that I don't need to engage in any of this bullshit, honestly. And I don't have to fight my way through it, even though sometimes I do. And it's like, I do it privately now. But besides the fact, I had a post this week that detailed out exactly why. I don't even think it was this week, actually. By the way, I am driving, just so you guys know. And if I pause for a second to look at myself on the road so I don't hit anything, that's what I'm going to pay attention to instead because, well, that's what you do when you drive. Anyway, I had a post. I think I posted it last week. It was up for a while until it, in quote, blew up, which is like 30,000 clicks on Instagram isn't that much, but like people are talking about it and like rightly so, actually, because saying that I can make professional hockey is a bold, absurd, whatever the hell you want to call it, claim. Actually, it really isn't. But if you look at the math behind training and improving and creating transformations and defying the odds and, just overcoming your own genetics and what you were, in quote, born to be, end quote. Like, no, it's not an absurd claim. Because anything that you do in life is learnable and you can access it at any point. Sometimes you just don't choose to access it, and that is fine. Not everyone has to choose to access it. But I think one of the things that piqued my interest was the fact that I'm like, I don't know, somehow disrespecting people or pro players, let's say, who have played the game the right way, so to speak, whatever the hell that means, where they've, I don't know, climbed up the ranks, let's call it, and people interpret that as putting in the work with pro leagues, and that's a fine interpretation. But at the same time, the reason that I made the standards course, and I've like explained this in text as well, but one of the biggest reasons that I created the standards course was so that anybody can access the abilities of the best hockey players in the world, whether that's through an athleticism change, whether that's through a mechanical change. Because the reason I focus on those two instead of systematic play is because you can learn all the systems in the world easily. You can draw up all the plays from a fucking couch for all I care. That is not going to get you better at moving on the ice. Fundamentally, because it is a physical sport, you need to be able to move. If you cannot move on the ice, whether that's from bad mechanics, whether that's from previous injuries, whether that's from, I don't know, not being fast enough to execute the plays, whether your shot isn't good enough to execute a chance, whether your stick handling isn't good enough to get around a player, like whether any of that has a weak link or is not good enough, no system or any play that you attempt to do will work. And this is what we're going to get into, where it's like, I think the notion that, like, yes, if you say to me that hockey is a complex sport, I will agree. But you can choose to get stuck in the complexity that all these plays happen and all these breakouts, like you go from here to here to get all these different options, like, and you have to talk with your other players and it's camaraderie, and the team has to get all together and bond together off the ice and have some things together. And if you don't have that, then it's going to break apart. But championship teams are made out of defense, like whatever the fuck is, like, I don't know. Like, that's, you can get stuck in all of that if you choose to. And then, I don't know, not take action off of it. You can obsess over all of those different thoughts, all of those different ways to play the game. Or you can not obsess over them, because obsession is a choice. And you can choose to obsess somewhere else. And what I have chosen to obsess over is the athleticism and the mechanics, because again, I have seen myself and many other of these individualized case studies where if you do improve it just makes sense. The theory seems to stick. If you improve yourself, everyone else gets better. Everything else gets better. The whole world gets better. And it's not just in hockey. Like, we have these like real world problems, and if you focus on fixing yourself, if you clean your room, as the common phrase goes, then everything else clears up for you. So, like, I had someone direct message me that is like, you have to work with the team, and the team has to like bond together in order to, like, because hockey is such a team sport, and you have to, I don't know, but like, it's all team. That's basically the fundamental thing, and it's all systems, and it's all this stuff. And it's like, why does something like clean your room exist? You tell me that. Why does something like that exist, and why does it work in something like hockey, where you improve your skills, you improve your athleticism, you improve your structural balance so that you don't get fucking injured and have to, like, let's say you're the best player and you're always injured. It's like, that's no good for your team. Even if you're on the fourth line, it's like you're always injured, and the team relies on you because you're a fourth liner, and because like the entire team structure breaks down because one player has to leave the game because he's hurt for whatever reason that he gets hurt for. It's like, oh, that messes up the entire team because now you're down to 11 forwards instead of 12. It's like, oh, individuals don't affect the structure of a game. It's like, do you really? Does that really happen? It's all team, is it? It's like, no. a team is composed of many individuals. When you talk to a team, if you choose to talk to a team, it's like you're talking to a group. And you're identifying with the classification of the group instead of the classification of the individual. It's like that. You might as well be a damn puppet. You might as well just reiterate what everything else is said. That isn't you talking. That isn't personal enough. There's no room actually for improvement on your own end. And that's why I think that thought is actually not something that works in a team environment. I think what I've seen work, this doesn't just apply to hockey as a team sport. It's like everyone as an individual has to hold up the ship, let's say, or I don't know, like everyone as an individual has to hold up the line. If one thing goes wrong, and this is for anything, even though we don't like it, if one thing goes wrong, if one player screws up, that messes up the entire team structure. Because in a hockey sense, you get scored on because you turned the puck over. It's like, is that really a team problem? That's really a team problem. Or you made the wrong pass. It's like, is that really a team problem? Or is that on the individual? You're not strong enough. Is that a team problem? Or is that the individual? You couldn't catch a pass. Is that a team problem? Or is that the individual? Like, why do you work on skills at all? It's like, yes, you do need to be synced up with your team, but it's like that doesn't apply when you look at humans and like the structure, like literally how psychology works. If you want to improve yourself at anything that you do in life, you focus on yourself. You improve yourself. It makes no sense for you to get dragged into a team or dragged into like group identity politics, let's say. It's like the group isn't going to fucking help you. You are going to help you. It's on you to make the damn change that you're looking for because you don't want to suck on the ice. That's on you. That's not on the team. That's not on your coach. They can influence those decisions for sure. But it's definitely not the guy in the stall next to you. That's on you to make that change. Which is why, if you work on your skills, your mechanics, if you work on your structure balance, your athleticism, you actually bring up the team by working on yourself. If you want to get sucked into the complexities of that, it's like, well, actually, no. The team gets better when you work on yourself. And we can put that comment to rest. And I'm going to move on to another thought, actually. And I might as well make this its own episode. So the takeaway from this is that the team, the individual actually is king. The team gets better when individuals work on their own game. And I'm going to get into the other, let's call it, things that I apparently disrespected and things like that in the next episode. So pause it off here. This isn't the outro I was looking for, but I think making these podcasts short like this is a huge help. So within this 15-minute range. I am absolutely bored, by the way, by doing this drive. I'm probably going to record countless of these podcasts. So I will see you in another episode as I continue my boring ass drive. I hate wasting time like this, so we're just going to keep talking. See you the next one.